Hello and welcome to SME TV. I'm your host, Angela Vithulkis. Over the last 20 years, I've done over $1.5 billion worth of successful deals. That's deals that worked and we generated real cash through my companies. But the amount of deals I stuffed up or didn't get a yes has cost me billions. I figured out there's an art to getting a deal done. You might be surprised as what's involved in securing big sustainable deals. Sadly, these are not my words. Keep watching SME TV to find out who I'm talking about. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to support us and all SMEs. We encourage you to comment, tell us what you think and share SME TV. Joining us today is Michael Lane, MD of Success Resources, the world's largest education seminar company. Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Now, you think we're here to talk about you.
Potentially, but
and
maybe
Success
not now.
Resources.
Okay.
It's actually golf.
Yes. I've been waiting for this moment. This is perfect.
You're a keen golfer.
I am.
Okay, you're listed as your top three: husband, father,
Yes.
keen golfer.
Yes, true.
I tried golf.
How'd you go?
My golf instructor said he was amazed at such a little girl had so much pent-up rage.
Okay.
And then they couldn't wait to get rid of me because I left big holes on the
Yes,
course.
that's not good.
So have you always enjoyed golf?
I have, since the age of about 7.
More importantly, have you met Tiger?
I have not.
You meet all these amazing people, they're all over LinkedIn. You haven't met Tiger and you like golf. You don't want to? Or?
No, I think Tiger, what he's done has been amazing. But I love the Aussies. I love the Aussie golfers and I back them and I support them and I
Have
support
you played
the Aussies.
golf with the big Aussie golfers?
I have not yet.
Okay, so you're letting me down here. You on all over LinkedIn, you say you've got to surround yourself with the people you aspire to be, right? Yes. So you say you're a keen golfer, and yet no Tiger. The great white shark, no.
Not yet.
Anyone locally, no.
Look, I've got a longer term goal for it.
Well,
so
I'll see what I can do about hooking you up.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We'll put it out there. All right, now you specialise in educating entrepreneurs. 1,200 events in the last 15 years with over, $1.5 billion in sales. It's not little.
No, and when you say it like that, I sometimes stop and reflect and think about, the journey that we've had and the lessons and learnings along the way, but some of the wins as well. And, it's humbling, but I've got a very big goal. Yep. And while I'm grateful for what we've achieved so far, there is a lot more we can do. So the numbers, I appreciate them and I'm grateful for them. I'm more interested in the humans we've impacted than the dollars. And for me, I have a mission for the next 10 years to impact 1 billion people. And I'm more interested in the people being impacted than the bank account.
That's a big number.
It is.
It's a big number,
It's a big, bold number.
When you think about the last 15 or 20 years of the organisation, you've had 10 million people come through. Yep. 1 billion is a big number. Right? I'm looking forward to seeing that come up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, me too.
Now, there's a couple of sides to you. There's Success Resources, there's the Infinity Group, and then there's your personal brand.
Yes.
Have you been paying more attention to your personal brand because of COVID?
I would suggest, yes, I have been putting a bit of attention on it. To be really honest, though, for the last 2 years, I've put a lot of attention on it.
Why?
Because I just understand the currency of it now and the importance of it. The business has got to where it has and has scaled quite significantly in the last 2 years. Not just because of me and the brand, but probably the opportunities that have come because of the brand. So the last 2 years, I've had a huge focus on it, but the last 3 or 4 months, I've definitely been working it in different ways, and it's been exciting. And I'm going to continue to delve deep into it and continue to find ways to get the brand out there even more.
So when I was doing my usual LinkedIn, which sometimes I feel like I live there for much of the day, what impressed me the most was this one particular post that you put up, and that's what I saw the first time, and that was you telling it like it is about being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And that's a word that is so overused or not used generously enough to those that it applies to. But it's as if people have called themselves an entrepreneur to give themselves a label because they don't know anything else. In my day, when I grew up in my parents' business, it was just called being self-employed. There wasn't any of the bells and whistles that's attached. One of the many things that you said and you say, I love the most, is I believe entrepreneurs get lazy on a salary. I love that because, as you said, that you don't draw a salary or your salary is zero. you can draw zero, because you work on a percentage. If the business does well, you do well. If it doesn't do well, then you don't. So that's skin in the game, right?
It is.
Whereas this new breed of startups, I won't label them all and be very general, but it's about raising capital and buying a Ferrari.
Yes.
But not worrying about putting that money into the business or where they're going to be in 5 years' time. So it's like a firecracker with a short fuse. So that mantra that you say, entrepreneurs, if they get lazy with drawing a salary, that's something that you live and you talk about online. What else are you telling it like it is with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, look, and I'm always conscious because you've got some very vulnerable entrepreneurs out there. And, we've been in this space and we've been doing this for a while. I haven't drawn a salary for 18 years. And for me, it's not because of I'm high or mighty or those kind of things. It's purely been reverse engineered because I do get lazy when and I get too comfortable. So
it's about you, how you work.
This was more for
and
me.
what you need.
Yeah. But I do believe it resonates with some portion of entrepreneurs, not all. I just know that when I start at zero every single month, I have to bring value. And if I don't bring value, I don't deserve to get paid. So for me, it's just been something that's worked for me based on my personality style more than anything. But I do think it's something special that once you get a certain level of certainty in who you are and you put yourself out there, you act different as an entrepreneur and you are governed differently. And I figured that out for me, and it's kept me super sharp. And I have to be on the ball. I have to continue to add value. If I don't, then I have some very high personal expenses. Yeah. If I don't add value, I don't get paid and everything changes. So
Golf, kids,
all that stuff.
It costs money. So let's roll back time, if we could, and say at the peak, Success Resources was looking at names like Robbins, Branson. That's only to name two. I flicked through all the pictures. I'm sure I saw Clinton in there.
He was
as well.
in there, yep.
So you're dealing with those big names. You're running massive events. You've selling out venues, obviously. Then, thank you very much, welcome the pandemic. How does that affect your business?
Yeah, look, it's had a huge effect, to be fair.
Dumb question, but...
No, but it's an important question because we went from 525 events just last year in 37 countries to zero. So the thing I keep remembering, and COVID's been a great educator for me of this, is that my vision was never around running the most seminars in the world. And we got to that, and I'm not really that excited by that because the mission and the vision was always to change lives globally. This does not change that. We have to find a way to get around that. And this is, probably to answer some of your previous question, one of my, sort of things I'm hearing a lot about entrepreneurs right now is you can start something, it doesn't work, or the landscape change and you go do something else. For me, the true entrepreneur has to find a way to pivot, has to find a way to iterate. We've done that. We're coming out with digital programs, different ways to have virtual events, and the mission doesn't change. So right now the landscape is very different.
Yes.
But we're impacting more people today than we were at 500 events last year.
Do you think it's that the isolation or the fact that people are checking themselves, the self-employed, the entrepreneurs, the SMEs, they're checking themselves now and saying, this is an opportunity for me to either learn something else or to put my money where my mouth is and change to something else, to question every single thing about their lives, literally, because business takes over their life, and to sit back and say, I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I want to find something that I am happy doing, or I really love what I'm doing, but I want to do it better. I think this is like a spell or magic dust has been cast over the entire small business and community to be giving them a second opportunity to reiterate.
Yeah, it's kind of like this macro crisis has got everyone to start to sit and think about it, right?
Once we got over the anxiety of it.
Once, the challenges around the first couple of weeks, but if nothing else, you need to take stock. And I love there's a quote, don't miss the opportunity that a crisis can bring. So not that we want to wish ill on anyone right now, but this is an opportunity for you to sit, take stock. Am I living the best life possible right now? If not, if I designed it, what would it look like? So that's kind of got to be the focus. For us, we're impacting more people now today by not running one physical event, because on our digital events, we're getting tens and tens and tens of thousands. So I love it. We get back to actually adhering to our message, But here's what it's telling me is that there's a lot more people who need this help.
Different way of
especially
scaling, right?
now. Very different way. And that's why I boldly put
More
$1
intimate.
billion.
Yeah.
So some of the things we've got planned, we'll see tens of millions being impacted by education. And that's why I boldly put that figure there. But right now, and a bit like the GFC, that was a turning point for our business. Because while all other businesses were starting to struggle, we had an influx of people going, hold up, my job isn't necessarily safe anymore.
Yeah.
My career may not even exist anymore. So there's a lot of stuff happening.
They're revisiting those feelings now.
They are. And there's a lot of new emerging entrepreneurs coming through going, you know what, I know I don't want to work for anyone else, but I need to get my game together. I need to hone my craft. I need to figure out what's that thing. And we had a show earlier about, we talked about the X factor. Everyone's got this X factor. They just got to tap into it. So we're helping everyone go through that right now and figure out what is their X factor, what can they do to make a difference on the planet, and start thinking about it now during this crisis.
Now, was it you guys that developed the tech that had TonyRobbins as a hologram?
Yeah.
And that was pre-COVID?
It was 2016, I think it was.
So that technology exists to effectively let you scale your business to such a level and cheaper overheads. I mean, if Tony doesn't have to come here.
Well, you'd be surprised, actually. It was satellite feeds going around the world. It would be cheaper to get him here on his jet.
So NASA was
I think
roped in.
I was renting it off NASA, the satellites. But look, you know, we pride
But
ourselves.
how awesome, though, right?
It was very cool. And I look back and I think back on that time, the technology was probably a little bit early.
Yep.
And in business, you know, you need to have everything lined up, including the timing.
But the wow factor was there.
It was there, and you'll start to see a bit more of this now. But we love to keep the bar so high. We love being innovative like that. And it was definitely an exciting time. We'll start to see a bit more hologram, a bit more virtual reality, that stuff come back in.
Yeah, VR's definitely going to be.
It'll be back.
VR, AR.
Yeah,
There'll be
absolutely.
big players in the market. They have been, but now even more so, they'll be fine-tuning those things, because I always said I'm good with AR or VR if I can go into a shop and have the same experience as the shop. Yeah. I don't want it to be different. That's the experience I've been looking for. So I'm still waiting for that technology to help out. Otherwise, I've got to turn up. I want to touch on Infinity Group before we go back to you, because Infinity Group's not all about you.
No, I love that.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Look, it's Australia's leading education and mortgage brokerage company. Rebecca and Graham started this business 7 years ago. I invested in it last year, but I've known Graham and Rebecca for about 5-6 years now. I saw who they were as business owners and leaders, and it's always a surprise to me when good people keep turning up to my events, sitting up the front row and keep growing themselves. That's what good leaders do. So when the opportunity came about to look at how we could do something together, the timing was right, the products were right, and the leaders behind it were really right. So that's what got me involved.
I can see from having a quick look at them that the service that they're offering to help, literally it's to help people financially. So to be able to budget and allocate their money differently, to save, get out of debt, make sure they don't get into it.
Yeah, we have a personal banker for everyday mums and dads. You know, I mean, that used to be something just for Macquarie Private Wealth.
Correct.
You know, for a couple of bucks a month, you can have someone look over all your financials and keep you on track, and actually ring you and go, you spent too much money at the pub on Friday, Michael. You need to reel it back in.
You get those phone calls too?
I do, unfortunately. So I'm still learning the lessons, but it's a great system. It's helping everyday Aussies. In the last 9 months we've done this business together, we've impacted over 40,000 Aussies in their finances, so super happy with that. The
issue I think there is that the everyday person, regardless of what they do in their business, doesn't specialise in that financial control part.
Yes.
Right? So you can operate a great business and they can be your skills, but the financial part could be a little bit different. Where the muddy waters are for most people is the mortgage or loan component of what they've got. They don't know how they can save money. They think they're locked into a contract. They may not be. They don't know that they can refinance, and even half a point saves them a lot of money that they can actually reinvest and buy something else. It can be that much of a difference. And to have someone who's hands-on with their own finances and says, you know what, you can save money if you do this. By the way, we have the right people for that. So I can see where Infinity Group is really standing out from the pack, because you either offer one service or the other. You don't often see them blended.
Correct. And what was important from my side is that in adhering to my billion people impacted, is there had to be an education component a part of it. So we've created courses, we've created all that. And I think that's important because Aussies need to be educated first and foremost. It's really hard to let someone else manage your money if you don't really know what's going on. So, you know, we're excited by it. It's very early days, but we're creating a little bit of noise, and the big banks aren't too happy about it because we're taking the average loan.
Which is how you know it's a good idea.
Which is true. But here's the thing. The average Aussie is spending $279,000 more in going to the big banks and paying their profits than they have to.
Because they felt, for so many years, they thought that that was safe and they thought that's who they could trust.
That's it.
But we know, through the Banking Royal Commission, that that's not exactly the case.
No.
So that's why now they're much more open
Yes.
to seeing that, hearing it, and plus the risk isn't on them.
Correct.
The risk is where whoever's got the mortgage.
Yes.
So I don't know what they're waiting for.
Time will tell.
Now, if you don't have a 2-decade mission, you're probably not passionate about your business. 2-decade mission?
Yes, I absolutely believe that.
So if I've got a 3-decade mission, am I running overtime? Or?
Yes, you're too slow.
All right, okay.
No, but look, I say these boldly and I do get comments because I was the young, ambitious, arrogant, egotistical entrepreneur who wanted it all in 2 years. And then I got to the end of that 2 years and I was depressed because I didn't hit my goal. But the goal was all artificial. It was like my life was going to expire in a certain amount of time. Whereas now, I really think, you know, you've got your macro passions, you've got niche passions. Golf is a niche passion. My macro passion is helping and changing people's lives globally. I can't look at that and go, it's going to be such a desire today, but next week it may not be, or in a couple of years. It has to be long term. The long term stuff gets you up and gets you out of bed, especially when you're not taking a salary.
So when you say that you should have every quarter have a harebrained new idea and 10K to fund it, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So just put aside 40K for your harebrained ideas a year?
Yes.
Do you do that?
100%. So for me...
How many of them have worked?
You'll be surprised. There's a couple, a lot fail, and my team look at me and go, what are we doing this quarter? It's crazy. But, you know, I think entrepreneurs need to continue. We have this muscle, and it's a creative muscle. And if we don't continue to use it, then we lose it. So for me, every quarter, I need to come up with something, and I want to add a revenue stream annually. So I do give myself, if I can make 1 of 4 work this year and I can create another revenue stream that's ongoing, great. Because most entrepreneurs have not enough revenue streams. They don't think about this.
No, of course not. They don't have a plan B or D.
They don't. And they think that number one thing's going to hit $1 billion in 2 years, and then they get to a point where they go, this is never going to happen.
And they're always surprised when something stops.
Yeah.
Or it collapses.
Or a COVID happens.
Yeah.
Or something happens.
It has an end of life. It has a shelf life. A lot of businesses have a shelf life. We don't anticipate it and we don't want to face it. We live in denial, I think, as business owners. But they do. They have a shelf life.
They do.
Just like every great idea. And every big business faces it. Okay, so what convinced me to approach you was this one particular post on LinkedIn. Right, and I did have to do a big pitch to get you here, but we'll get to that. It wasn't that much. You put a post on LinkedIn that said, telling it like it is about entrepreneurs, about what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You had 8 points. I'm not going to get to all 8, but the first one. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not a profession I would tell my son or daughter to do. Life would be much simpler if I wasn't an entrepreneur. Never a truer word spoken. You get none of the glory, usually as an entrepreneur. You get all of the stress and all of the worry. What drove you to be so open about this?
I think it's important to understand your place. I can't change the DNA of who I am. I'm an entrepreneur. I knew that from 7 or 8 years old. But there's so many people idolizing my journey now at the 20th year. You should have seen it for the first 13 years. It was harrowing.
Like an overnight success.
Yes. So it's just trying to be transparent and real and let people know that, you know, it's not all the flash cars and all the excitement you may think it is. But it's, that, and I remember that post, but it's kind of like just giving them the opportunity to go, hey, maybe I'm not an entrepreneur, and that's okay. Yeah. You can be a happy business owner, happy employee, happy contractor. And that's why I said, I'd hope that my kids maybe don't go on to take that step, because I know what I've had to go through.
Because here are the side effects. It will test your mental capacity every day for the rest of your life. I'm not overstating this. It's a full-time forever thing if you walk down that road. You say, it would be much easier life to find a job you're passionate about and just get a nice salary. It would be an easier life. No stress, no worries, You might be made redundant, you'll get a payout, you'll get a next job, redundant again, another payout. Who knows? My favourite one, okay. If you're better than me, you'll only go broke twice instead of my 3 times. It happens, right?
Absolutely.
It happens. And the difference, the aha moment is when you pick yourself up and you're like, okay, I've been to the end of the world, not that bad. Go again.
Yeah.
But 3 times? That's a lot of courage.
I'm a slow learner.
Yeah.
And look, it was all in my 20s and it was around things that I weren't passionate about long term. So that's the thesis here, is that have a long-term vision that truly is going to get you up, especially when the times are tough. And if you do that, you'll probably succeed if you don't give up. That's the biggest thing. So my success is down to me just not giving up. I truly believe.
Tenacity?
I wouldn't even go as far as saying tenacity. I'm just arrogant and silly that I won't give up. I'll find a way. The moment I give up, it's done. There is no opportunity, right? I've just continued to find a way to iterate and move forward. And there's a couple of false starts in there, as we know, but I learned a lot from that. And those were all in my 20s. And thank goodness I'm just got into my 40s. But there's some big lessons, but that's important for people to know, is that's what happened to me.
There are 2 more points that I haven't said, but they're both my favourite. Number 6, you will statistically not make it.
Yep.
Period. That's the elephant in the room, right? Not every entrepreneur is going to become an overnight success, even if they toil at it for 20 years and suddenly get discovered. Some people, it won't work.
It just won't, because here's the thing, majority of those people will give up though.
Yes.
They will just go,
that comes back to your don't give up.
It's too hard, why don't I go get a job?
Well, you say you will work 7 days a week and won't be able to turn your brain off. It will haunt you constantly. So how does that sound?
It's harrowing. Look, I've learned to deal with the voice in my head. I've learned to deal with the fact that tonight I've got calls until 11 p.m. and I love that about it. I know that I'll be up tomorrow morning at 5:30 speaking to someone in New York, and I'm okay with that. It's just the way that I'm built. If I had to go get a job now and sit there from 9 to 5, I'd go mad.
Well, there are those of us that live in another world, and unfortunately we do have those commitments. But I think the main thing for us is that the SME world is full of people who don't give up.
Yeah.
They may not be the success that others define as success, but they certainly don't give up. And it's that spirit and that tenacity that I serve and what we're trying to do. So we just follow where that road takes us. And sometimes we're part of people's journeys and sometimes we're not. But what we have come to realise is that there are a lot of other people who are part of a bigger picture and a journey. And that's what we love to spread, because numbers matter. And the more people that know about something, the more inclined to success it will be. And imagine the worst case scenario is that we have a world full of successful people. I know. Who figured?
Crazy.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
To our viewers and watchers, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to support us and all SMEs, where you'll find more great interviews. And please share, like and comment. A huge thank you to the SME Association for making SME TV and podcast channel possible, and to Piedmont Studio for the great production. To reach us with any content ideas, comments or stories that are good for your business community, you can email us, news@smea.org.au, and we're on all the socials too. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.